Okay. If we could get a roll call, please.
Chairperson Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Here.
Commissioner Lance,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Here.
Commissioner Souter.
Here.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from our April 10th meeting? Okay, wonderful. If we could make a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Okay, do we have any communication or comments from the public body this time? Okay, awesome. If we could go ahead and get started. Our first property today is 1646 Keeble Street. This is just an update on progress from the March 13th meeting regarding the cleanup effects.
So I've been in contact with the property representatives, and they are diligently working as fast as they can, and as costly as they can. I know that the city has agreed, well, the sanitation department has agreed to let them go one time a week to dump, just because of the amount of items they have, and they still have to take care of our city. So it's a little bit difficult trying to get the process going, but I do know that they go once a week, and they dump as much as they can. And like I said, I've been in communication with them, and they're working, but it's kind of one of those things.
That was a big job. That was a lot, and they're doing this on their own. I assume his family, because he's not well.
I know at one time, like, they rented a dumpster and were kind of throwing it all in there, but I'm sure that gets expensive. And although we have city dumpsters, they're not as big, and they'd have to load those out just as fast as they take it up there anyway. So it's kind of one of those things. It's going to take some time, but I know that they are working. I hear from them at least every other week, if not every week.
But they're
so.
staying in contact, that's good. How long do you think it might take for them to completely, at their current pace? No telling? Okay.
Because
With the progress.
I am, just because, like I said, like, I understand they're just financially kind of strapped, so they're doing the best that they can to their ability. But it is difficult trying to make more progress when you only really can go once, and then you don't have the money to get a dumpster to throw the rest out, so. I can walk back in there now, if that makes sense. But you can't really go too far, so.
There's no hazardous materials or anything that,
I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you. Honestly, don't know what's under there. Go swimming, and
okay.
Motion to pass this to the June 12th meeting for another update.
Okay, we have motion, pass. We have a motion, and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. The next item is 1604 Glowmont Drive. We have a representative for that property here today.
hi again. So I've been in contact with Ms. Sanders. We do have the plan, which is what I gave you guys at the beginning of this meeting, just to kind of review and look over what their intentions are. I do know that they have the sump pump under the house. They've got all the water out. They have made contact with the structural engineer, but the earliest they could get out would be the end of this week, and I guess at this point, weather permitting. So they are ready to move forward with it, but again, it's kind of on their time too.
Well, the engineer said it would be sometime this week, so he might, I followed up this morning and I didn't hear back from him, so maybe he got out there before all this weather starts and we can have some.
So you did say the water's out of the bottom. So I was looking at the plan, and you'll have to excuse any ignorance here, but I was looking at, you have the sump pump now. Is the sump pump being planned to be stationary there to be used all the time, or not?
I think the goal is to keep it there.
So where is that water gonna go?
What I kind of gathered from this and just talking to the contractor, they are working on, they did bring in some more dirt to fill to kind of raise it. Not by the house by any means, but more the backyard. They can't get equipment back there because of how wet it is. To my knowledge, the plan is they are supposed to be cutting out that ditch line that's in between the duplexes, I'm pretty sure, to help the water flow the pattern that it's supposed to go and away from anybody else's property and the structure in its entirety. I don't know how far y'all have gotten necessarily, because I haven't talked to the contractor, I've just talked to you, with digging that out because, again, it's been so wet.
I know that, I don't think they've gotten very far in digging it out. I know they got the sump pump, and then we were waiting on the structural engineer to kind of move forward.
I just recall I had a house in Brainerd for about 20 years, and we had a sunk pump in the garage because, you know, it flooded anytime it rained hard. And if we didn't have that attached to the sewer system or wastewater system or something, it just caused more problems, just if you just let it go out of the area. That's why I was wondering where you're planning on dumping
They'd
the
ask my
water.
contractor, I'm sorry.
Board. So the plan is to build, to fill in more dirt, but away from the structure.
These ditches are natural drains, right? They're already there, they just need to be cleaned and maintained. This is probably where they'll dump the sump pump.
Yeah. That's what I would hope.
Which, in all the theories that we could, gather, that's ideally what you would do, is try to
Practicality,
direct
yeah.
it towards
Right.
there. Which I think is what they are trying to do. But again, just trying to fill it enough to where they're not gonna sink in their equipment back there to dig it out. That's the problem.
Yeah. Okay. So we're.
At this point, I guess you're in a holding pattern depending on weather, right?
Now granted, if we are lucky enough to get a structural engineer report in and they're able to tell me about the structure itself, I can get with the chief building official and we can kind of conduct a plan and get with Ms. Sanders, obviously bring it back to you guys, but we will kind of know where to kind of get her in a direction of going.
I
At
feel
least
like
on the
the
structure.
structural engineer report's gonna be more important before we start doing all of this.
Not, well, no, I would say it's 50, so I need to know if the structure is sound. If we, well, not we, they can go in and make the repairs needed to bring it to code compliance. And that's really, that's what it depends on. So we can fix it in the backyard for the drains, that's fine, no big deal. But then I'm still going back to, I've gotta have that report to see where we stand, because, are they gonna have to demo it? Are they gonna have to be able to fix it? I don't know until
Right.
they tell me.
Is it possible on your hose that comes out from underneath the duplex to add to it, to go back around to the ditch so all this rain we're fixing to get in the next several days doesn't end up
Making it
in
worse.
everybody else's yards? And that way, because you're gonna be pumping, it's gonna fill up, and it would pump straight to that ditch, which would take it out Glowmont on out, if that's possible. Right now, it just goes in the middle of the backyard, if I look at it right.
Depending on weather in the morning, I'll call the street department as well first thing and see if they can go out and just make sure that the ditches are clear, just of debris, to try to help with that water too.
Probably know that by about 11 p.m.
Okay? I hope not.
Okay. And you said hopefully structural engineer report, well, it all depends on this weather, so.
So do we need to stop, not do the drains right now, or the ditches?
If they can, I would.
Okay.
I would. I would
Okay.
continue on because ultimately you're trying to get that water flow away, right, from all neighbors from that in general. And to try to draw that out some more too back there. But just the interior, like the structure itself, it'll have to be on hold until
Okay,
later.
that's fine. I just wanted to
But
make
yeah,
sure.
they can still work on getting the
Okay. So what are y'all's thoughts?
I would suggest a motion to pass to next month while the work is continuing. With the weather permitting on the outside, awaiting the structural engineer report.
Yeah.
Not much more we can do until we get that.
I would say clear the drains, get the water out, and then,
Fighting the weather.
So those are the only things that we need to do right now? Till the next court date? Okay.
Have them start working on the drain. I was thinking too, just looking at that and just thinking of the drainage system in its entirety. I don't know if it'd be beneficial if I try to get the street supervisor to go out and we meet with the contractor to try to get a better game plan on how to get it to flow in the correct direction. And maybe Chris has some better tips on how to get it pushed or what needs to be done. I don't mind to get with him tomorrow and do that.
okay.
You know, the city can only do so much whenever it starts on private property, so.
I would also be very, very mindful, just from personal experience with this weather, power outages, because as power goes out, it can blow up those pumps or, you know, stop it from working, and then we forget about it, and then, you know. Okay.
You had the idea.
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion to pass it to the next month while you're continuing to work on the drain situation and wait on the structural engineer report.
Second.
Motion is second?
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souter.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next on the list is 4320 Greenbrier Road, update from April 10th meeting. This is the fire, correct? Yeah.
So Mr. Spurlock has been, bless him, he's been going round and round with State Farm, because State Farm felt that the fire damage could be repaired, and I had to explain to them that it most definitely cannot be repaired because it exceeds 50% of the total building value per what the fire department estimated the cost at for loss for the structure. So I think we're all on the same page now. Mr. Spurlock is on the same page with me, is just trying to get State Farm on that same page. So they are going to pay him out for the house, so he's gonna get the money that he needs. I know that he's already spoken with a demolition guy and has that ready. They're just kind of waiting on the green light to go ahead and get that down. And then he was going to also meet with some contractors to go ahead and get quotes, bids, et cetera, on building back a new structure there. So I know that he is working on it, but he's also kind of at the leisure of State Farm, so, and like attorneys back and forth on their end and trying to get everything that they need, that he needs, and that it's done correctly and fairly.
Absolutely. But he's already in contact with the demo crew
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything, so he's ready to go. He's just waiting on State Farm to pretty much cut him a check.
Yes, ma'am. I think he said after, you know, he handles his attorney situation, he said that he probably will have to take out, you know, money from the bank, and I was like, that's your doings, not, you know. So I would say, depending on how fast the contractors can get out there to start building, I don't know what their time frame is, where they're at on it. Ultimately, as long as the house comes down, it doesn't pose a threat anymore. So that's the biggest
Secure.
thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
secure. I think besides one window, but honestly, there's,
So do we need to keep it on the agenda or on our roll until it's demoed?
I would.
I would say
Okay.
so.
Make a motion, we pass this 4320 Greenbrier to June 12th for an update.
Okay. Okay, we have a
Good.
motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souter.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. The next item is 2115 Eldridge Road. This is an update from April 10th meeting. This was, they were trying to find a buyer for the property.
So it is currently still on the market. However, it is under contract. I talked to Mr. Edens today, which is the property owner, They went under contract. They are getting all the inspections done this week. The buyers are. And as long as everything goes well, they should be closing. Mr. Edens hopes to be sometime this month. And then, whenever the new owners take over, we'll have them come in, and then we can address it from there.
So he has given the supposed new owners, he has given them a written statement of
Yes.
what decided with it, correct?
Yes. That is one thing I made sure of just because of the previous things that we've had to deal with. I told him he has to be very upfront with it because it is condemned. And
Also
it's
supposed to give you a copy
of,
Contract.
of the contract that he's explaining to the new owners it's being condemned or whatever. That he gives them that notice before they buy it, and they agree to buy it, but they have to give you a copy of it also, that they agree to it.
okay. I do know that in the listing, because I saw it, I think on Realtor, one of my Realtor friends actually sent it to me asking about it. It's on, like, the listing itself. It says that it's condemned, that it has to come through you guys. So it's very public. Nothing about it's hidden. There's no, secrets behind it. And I've actually had a couple buyers interested in it that have called me because he's told them. And I think he's sent our email correspondence back and forth with me and him, just saying, hey, like, this is what I have it in Housing Commission for. This will have to be fixed before it can be released out of condemnation. He's very, very transparent with it.
I think it's a good idea sometimes, though, to have it in writing still.
I can.
To have the new buyer, hey, I understand, here's my paw print, and,
Yep.
That way there's no arguing.
Yep.
Down the road, what might happen. Okay,
So this one needs to be passed for 30 more days.
I'd say so.
Make a motion to pass 2115 Elledge Road to June 12th meeting for update.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to pass.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souter.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. The last one on our list is 1029 South Seminole Drive. This was the update from the demo that got pushed to, or stay, and going to be heard in bankruptcy court.
That did not happen. It got pushed to next Thursday at 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m., sorry. And it still kind of stands as is until we can get in front of the bankruptcy court and have our motion heard.
So that one is going to be on the May 16th is the bankruptcy court at what time?
10 a.m.
Okay. So ultimately, that one as well will need to be passed. Until the-
I make a motion that we pass 1029 South Seminole to 612 for update.
Okay, we have a motion to pass. Motion and second.
I guess, Mr. Litchford. If the bankruptcy court does grant our motion and allows us to go ahead and demo, can we go ahead and go back to demolition and have the demo guys out?
30-day appeal period, the bankruptcy will, so we'll have to wait once that one goes through. But it's possible we may be able to try and get with the attorney for the property owner and waive that right. The attorney has been cooperative and he understands the strategy that we've taken. We've not received any opposition to our motion, and I expect that to be the case. And so once we get the order, then we'll try to ask him if he'll waive any appeals, so we can move forward quickly.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souter.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Well, at this time, are there any comments or correspondence or discussion? I do have a question about State Line. Did anything ever happen with that?
State line, yeah, that one is, the court's first time for hearing was July. July, isn't it? Yeah, that was the first time the court would hear it, and, we actually were in court yesterday on another matter. She referenced this one, and she is aware of, said she would not move it from the July one. Whatever that means.
So no work can be done? I
No,
mean, it's,
no. I mean, it's in a stay, but we've also got a new order, they can't go. If you remember, they were trying to do repairs, with non-permitted repairs. That will be brought up to the court as part of, we anticipate their efforts are gonna be to demonstrate the repairs needed now don't meet, half the value of the property, and our argument is you've gotta include all of it. You gotta include supplies, everything. And we've also, will have Ms. Holder there testify that their first contractor he brought sat up here and testified it would be, I think, somewhere upwards of almost double.
it was 48,000.
It was about 1,000 over what he paid taxes on.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so, and of course, then immediately he wants to reject that contractor, so, and then coupled with the fact that the ones that we got didn't have anything related to supplies at all.
Correct.
So, we're comfortable where we sit. We'll see what the judge's position will be on it.
Okay, I was just curious. We had taken it off, and I was like, what's going on with that?
Mhm.
It's,
Is it set for come up on the June agenda here?
No,
Is it just off until
it's
we?
just off.
Okay.
Off until we,
that was one that, in my head, I'm just
Mhm.
constantly, wondering what's going on with it.
it's July 23rd.
Interesting,
State lines.
Mm-hmm, court.
interesting question about our statement to Glomont. Is the power on that duplex?
I remember when we lived in Brainerd, and we came home after a weekend out of town, and power had been off all weekend, and we went downstairs, and the water was almost to my hips in our basement. And that's the first thing that I thought about, having that sump pump and all these storms, and then, if they just dump the water back out in the yard, it's not gonna, it's gonna go to the neighbors, and it's not gonna,
And it does. That's why I try not to say nothing. I go ahead and tell you, it's my mother's house right directly behind it. Besides getting the bulk of the water, the guy on the corner, you can swim in his yard. And it's all because the water comes all the way straight down, like I was explaining before, where the ditch used to be. Everything's covered up now, so it has nowhere to go but just keep traveling straight down, and it ends up at the last two houses. And it happens to be Mom's and the corner lot. And I mean, you can swim on a good rainy day.
I don't see it.
well, I was,
Thing I looked at.
I was
I'm
confused.
nosy, I go over and look at it.
It's, I've been inside both sides, and
So that was why I was kind of thinking about, doing all this buildup with all of, regrading and doing all this work, needing the heavy equipment in. It's pointless
Yeah.
until we get the structural engineering, get the water out, get the water diverted the right way.
It's still, regardless if it has to be tore down, it's
Yeah.
still their responsibility to
Yeah.
not put that water off on everybody else.
Yeah.
So they have to fix that.
Yeah, absolutely.
so that's why I was saying, regardless of if we get that engineer report first or whatever, they still need to fix
Yeah,
the
the
drainage
yard.
issue. Because they're gonna have to do that regardless if they build something new or if it works out for them to be able to just rehab that. So,
It may be less expensive to demo it and rebuild it, especially after all the, what they have in loss, because it's what she said last month, 7 months, so it's been 8 months of loss of
I'm
income
walking the
for
whole thing
them.
sideways, so if that tells you all anything,
On, Keeble, are there any groups that can help them go out? Any volunteer groups that,
We have groups, it's just whether or not you got somewhere to put it.
Cause yeah, the East Ridge landfill is not, yeah,
It's not hard to get help, it's, you gotta do something with it.
got you. Okay. I was just thinking, like, groups like Junk King, they don't dump here. They go to, but they cost more than just renting a regular dumpster. I mean, I think their dumpster costs about the same as East Ridge, but with that amount, it would be thousands. Thousands.
Any idea how many dumpster loads are left, if you was gonna guess?
How big of a dumpster are we talking?
East Ridge dumpster.
Like 45 feet,
A lot.
or a 100-yard dumpster. Mhm.
It's 200 for the dumpster if you rent a dumpster from us. But load wise, how many times it would take? I would say no less than 100. Like seriously, realistically.
It's free. And you
Right.
pay to dump it
Every
one after.
time.
Yes.
Okay. My heart was just,
I feel bad for them, don't get me wrong. And if I knew of a way, like, I already had it in my brain of the group that could help or potentially help. But again,
where are you gonna put it? Okay. All right.
don't know of anybody else that, I mean, I could make a call, but I don't see them doing it for free. That's the problem.
Well, they're doing it slow and steady, so that's the most important part.
They really are. I mean,
Okay, that's all. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, we're good to go. We're adjourned. Yay.
you have something. I said, I feel like you have something.